Anime transformation scenes might be the greatest invention in the history of mankind. I'm not even joking. Like, in the history of us putting letters to paper from a fictional standpoint, is there anything that comes close to the adrenaline rush, the testosterone that goes through your veins when you are experiencing a legendary transformation in anime and manga? I mean, like, yo, listen, man. Yo, recent developments in a series I cover on the channel quite frequently, have had me reminiscing on legendary transformation scenes from my favorite series that I haven't watched in years. I've just been in a heavy transformation mood because that's the one constant that's been there from the very beginning with me, and my roots of loving anime and manga was, transformations in hands. And what had better transformations in hands than DBZ, right? That's what started it all, not only for me, but for a lot of you as well, right? So it's like we all remember going on YouTube and typing in Gohan SSJ2, Rock Lee Fifth Gate. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, bro? I know I'm not the only one that was doing that on the daily. I mean, come on, bro. Especially on YouTube's infancy, when such a thing beforehand, you would have to either record that stuff when it was on TV or buy a really expensive VHS. I mean, YouTube and stuff like Watch OP and Naruto, like, that stuff changed the game. Until Crunchyroll came around, man, and all that other stuff, but that stuff at the time changed the game. And so when you're going on YouTube and you're like, yo, Gohan goes SSJ2, eventually you start memorizing that thing line for line, bar for bar for legendary scenes. All the way from when Cell says, and yet another fighter you could have saved, to Gohan saying, and I won't watch this anymore. Come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? Yo! I don't care if that thing's in English and Japanese and Spanish. That junk is peak. Peak, man. It's the emotion. It's like, yo, let's go. And what's so amazing about that one in particular, about Gohan going SSJ2 for me, is that the transformation in and of itself is legendary. But what takes place after with Gohan and the Cell Juniors, when he is just bodying the Cell Juniors, and we're getting the reactions there, when, come on, man, that's just the best there is, and that's the great thing about transformations, is that they come in different shapes and sizes. I mean, you think about that legendary Gohan SSJ2 scene where we actually get to see the transformation. And then you think about something like a Naruto, where Naruto shows up in Sage mode, ready to go up and fight against Pain, and yet we didn't get to see that initial, we got to see the training for it. But when he pops up, the build-up surrounding these two individuals, Pain has destroyed everyone that's there. The only one that can possibly do anything about it is Naruto. So when he shows up, Sage mode, looking fresh with his best look, man, and he's just like, and you hear that, bang, he's just sitting there on all the Sage frost, and you're like, yeah, Naruto! It's like, come on, man. Like, it's amazing. It's like the adrenaline rush that comes from this stuff. So good. So good. You think back to even just like Rock Lee, man, like, to protect and maintain one's own ninja way. Like, bro, you remember these things, man. Like, it's crazy because it's like, it's stuff that sticks with you. It really is. And it's stuff that can honestly change series. Especially for me. I remember the scene that got me into Tokyo Ghoul. I've told this story many times, but I was not a Tokyo Ghoul fan when that series first released. I was like, what in the world is this garbage, man? Like, I did not mess with it at all. And it wasn't until my boy showed me episode 12 in the college library. I watched episode 12 with, like, episode 1 context, because that's as far as I got the first time. And when Unravel started playing, I didn't even know what was going on. All I know is I had goosebumps for a good, 16 minutes, right? That entire portion, and the moment we finished that episode, when I went home, I binged the entire season and I became a massive Sui Ishida fanboy. I mean, sometimes transformations just have that effect, man, especially for me. Like I said, they come in all different shapes and sizes. I'll never forget when I was first going through the Hunter x Hunter manga, after catching up to the anime, and I was watching the Chimera Ant arc weekly for a minute. And then after episode 126, I just had it, bro. I had enough. I was like, I am catching up to the manga. It was killing me. The weekly, I mean, it was amazing, the weekly experience for the Chimera Ant arc, but I couldn't take it anymore. And not after 126. Not after 126. And I remember when I read the manga, and I finally reached the legendary Ghoul versus P2 stuff. The thing about that fight in the manga that still remains with me from that initial experience was how horrifying Gon's transformation was in the manga. Not being able to give it a precise shape. You know, and almost all of the other transformation sequences, when I think back to them, I know exactly, like, I can think of, like, I was talking about Tokyo Ghoul, Kaneki with the white hair in the chair. You know, Gohan with the SSJ2 with the tears coming down his eyes. Luffy with Gear Second, you know, in the pose, looking down, he's striking the legendary pose. Legendary scenes, I'm like, all right, I got it. This is what's happening here. This is the iconic image. When it comes to Hunter x Hunter, and that transformation in particular, it's like what I remember is just P2 going crazy as these shadowy blobs are popping up all over the place. And you're like, what in the flying flagners is going on? And then you get to see Gon finally, like, in this, because the thing is with Togashi's art style, whenever he really wants to go into like some sort of horrifying look, he pulls it off, man. And so he draws this thing with a bunch of squiggly lines as this thing is coming out, and you're like, what in the world is he turning into? And I remember this thing just following P2 around, and you finally get to see the massive big squiggly line thing, and I'm like, bro, what is happening? And P2's shook, I'm shook. The whole world is shaking. I'm like, bro, is this Goku's going Super Saiyan 3 or is it Goku? I don't know, man. This is like undead nightmare. I was losing my mind, bro. And so when you finally get to see Gon come out of that squiggly line state, and he's an adult version of himself, it's like the number of things going through your head is just insane. It's like, what am I witnessing? What am I experiencing? You feel me? Like, that's the difference between my experience as a manga reader and I think if I were to experience in the anime. Because I think in the anime it's much more clear, even though with the music, I mean, episode 131, that's some peak fiction, you know what I'm saying? That's some crazy stuff, man. So the anime knocked it out of the park. It's absolutely amazing. But my difference with experiencing that first in the manga is I had no idea what was going on. The squiggly lines were hitting, man. I was like, yo, what is going on? What am I doing? You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, what's going on, man? And so when Gon comes out that state, he's in adult form, then he knees P2 like he's just Omega, Kenny Omega. I mean, V-Trigger. I'm like, bro, what's happening? And you get everything that follows, which is absolutely legendary, right? But it's like that particular scene just always stuck with me in regards to, it was one of the coolest ways to reveal a transformation scene for a main character, because I had seen it be done before for a villain, right? Like I remember when Cell was first brought into the picture, and you don't get to see Cell's form, but you see Cell's impact. You know, very Sephiroth-like, where you don't get to see this individual, but you see the impact they left on the world. And that stuff was really, really cool. And we got to have that with Gon's transformation in that particular scene, where we got to see the squiggly lines, P2 going like, on the same level as the king, and it's like all this, but I was like, I don't see the form. All I see is squiggly lines. And so, but when you actually get to see it, it's like, oh man, that euphoria is second to none, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, transformation scenes are the absolute best. And then shout out to my dog Kubo, bro, because let me tell you something. It's one thing to have transformations that are continue like levels, right? You know, you have like SSJ1, the SSJ2, the SSJ3 are like gear second, gear third. Even though they're very different from one another, it's still going 1, 1, 1. Shout out to my dog Kubo for having like 20 different forms for my dog Ichigo, bro. I mean, it was as somebody who loves transformations, going through Bleach was a glorious experience, man. I mean, you have so many to pick from, and they're all different and unique in their own ways. I mean, you can just tell that Kubo himself just loves that. He loves the transformations. I'm pretty sure he was a Super Sentai fan growing up with like the Power Rangers and all. He must have been a massive fan, because those transformation sequences in Bleach are out of this world, man. I mean, you think about the Bankai or the Holification or the full hollow, you know what I'm saying? Like, or the Don guy when he comes in, I mean, bro, he didn't miss. My man Kubo did not miss when it comes to the transformation scenes. And that's why I'm so hyped for the anime to come back, because the anime always accompanied his vision of the transformation scene to a T. I mean, yo, the remixes to #1? Are you kidding me? When he needs the holification on Dordoni, and you get to hear the bam, 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 bam. I'll end this in an instant. It's like, come on, bro. It's peak, you know? And so, this is one of those things. It's just one of those things to where you get these legendary sequences in anime, and then you get like the villain stuff. I mean, yo, there's some reveals utilizing transformations that are absolutely insane. The first one that comes to my mind is the Reiner and Bertholdt one from Attack on Titan. I mean, that reveal was accompanied by a transformation. We had never seen the Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan transform until that point. We didn't even know who they were. So when the thing was just dropped out of nowhere like that, you're like, excuse me? And then they transform. It's like, whoa! You know, it's like, it's those, man. It's moments like that. Regardless of whether you're getting from the hero side or from the villain side. I'll never forget when Perfect Cell first transformed. I'll never forget that. You know, that was crazy. When you had, what was it? It was like Trunks and Krillin kicking Cell as he's looking at his hand. He's like embracing his greatness. He's like, yo, I'm kind of nice. I'm kind of nasty. And they're sitting here, I mean, hitting this man with everything they have. Destructo discs, beams. And he's just sitting there like, yeah, this is kind of nice. You know, it's like, yo. Think about the Taguro. And yo, speaking of YuYu Hakusho. You know, I love the Mazuku form. I really, really do. But I think my favorite transformation sequence in Hakusho is Yoko Kurama. And I think the reason for that is because Togashi was able to play with having the savage side of Kurama come out in a different type of way. Because up until that point, we had seen like the very kind-hearted side of Kurama, and we knew that he had like that malicious nature to him that he was just suppressing. So to see Yoko Kurama come out like that is something I'll never forget, man. I mean, Karasu got wrecked, but it was for the greater good. It was for the greater good because we got a legendary scene in Yoko Kurama. That'll always be special for me. I'll never forget the most invested I've ever been in Mob Psycho was when I saw that thing go 100%. And then you see this man with his hair flying up in the wind. I'm like, this is what I'm injected. You know, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. There's so many good ones in manga, man. So many good ones. But as far as like the ones that I remember just losing my mind over, of course, the Berserk armor. And the Berserk armor, of course, because it's an armor, I don't know if it can be counted as a transformation. I'm gonna counter this one. I'm gonna counter this one because the way in which Miura was able to have a figure like Guts, who already feels like he's indestructible, already feels like this man can take on anything. I mean, from the very beginning of this series, it's obvious, you know, 1 versus 100 dudes. I mean, he's doing things that are out of this world. He's already superhuman as it is. And so when you add this different layer in the Grunbeld fight, introducing the Berserk armor, it's like, this is how we reach Femto. This is how we get to the next level, is with the Berserk armor. And I think one thing that's really cool about the Berserk armor is not only is it aesthetically pleasing, of course, it's one of the rawest looking things you'll ever see, but it just, in terms of the series itself, just makes so much sense. You know, not only to the title of the series, but to Guts as a character. You know, something that it's killing him slowly but surely. Not even slowly. It is. You see it. You see the wear and tear that it takes on his body after he finishes using this. You know, if it wasn't for Sharik, Mans would have been dead a long time ago. Long time ago. And so when you get to see transformations that have repercussions like that, but they're still so dope that you want to see them. It's like in your mind, you're like, I don't want to see it because it's going to kill him. But it's just so raw, I gotta see it. And that's the thing about the Berserk armor, it really is. And it's also in the way that the series is able to present these things, right? Because when you get to see the Berserk armor, but it's portrayed as like, you know, with a little line on the head, but it's like the beast, like the actual beast. It's like, oh man, Miura's playing with the pen. He's playing with the pen, and I love it. Beautiful, bro. You know, shout out to my dog Miura, man. Rest in peace to the true GOAT, because man, he created one of the greatest transformation scenes ever. Ever. I love the Berserk armor, dude. And then when it comes to One Piece, bro, I mean, obviously, you know how we are, man. But listen, man, this is the reason why I'm making this video. This is the reason why I'm making this video, man. Now, yo, The Gear's second transformation left such a long-lasting impression on me that it was the first poster I ever put up in my room. Ever. And it's still here. It's a bootleg poster with Gear second written in Spanish, but I have it. I have it, and it's Gear second, man. And it's just one of those things to where, because when you're first going through the series, especially at the time, I wasn't exposed to the community, so I didn't know about almost anything that was happening in the series. And so when I first saw Gear second, outside of seeing it in Brand New World, and even in Brand New World, I was like, what in the flying flowers is going on here? But when you see it in the series itself, it's like, oh my goodness, this is happening. Like, this man's actually pumping his legs, creating some sort of steam, and he's turning red. And as a Dragon Ball fan, I was like, what, is he using Kaioken? Like, what's going on? But then when you get the explanation, it makes so much sense within the context of the series. And you get stuff like Gear third, and then Gear third with Armament hardening, which adds an entirely different layer. And then you get to see the Gear fourth. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, man, dude. And then spoilers for all anime onlys, right? Spoilers for all anime onlys. You know what I'm saying? You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you get my favorite of them all. You get Gear fifth, which just embodies everything that is special about this series and about our main protagonist in one package. And as from a weekly experience, because of my love for transformations, I feel like it was my favorite weekly experience ever, chapter reading experience ever. Because it was like, it took me back to my childhood when I was searching up Gohan Goes SSJ2, Rock Lee Fifth Gate opening, you know, Ichigo using Bankai and all this stuff, right? When I was searching that up on YouTube on a daily, it took me back to that just on a weekly basis now as an adult. And just, it allowed me to reminisce and be like, man, transformations are really the best. And in the way that Oda was able to utilize this in a battle of this magnitude to introduce a new state like this. Because the thing is, what he did with Gear 5th is that he did the Dragon Ball Saiyan thing, except he also did it at the same time as introducing Super Saiyan. So imagine if in Dragon Ball, Toriyama introduces the concept of a Saiyan in the same chapter that Goku goes Super Saiyan. That is what happened in chapter 1044 of One Piece, where we were bamboozled the entire series. We got to find out the true origins, the true name of Luffy's ability. And within that same chapter, you get to see the apex of that ability. You get to see the peak of that ability. And it's like, what? Because I was able to live through this. I didn't live through when I've lived through it when it was airing on TV, but not as a manga reader, man. Not when Goku when was introduced to be a Saiyan and then a Super Saiyan 1 came out. I only lived through that in the anime on Cartoon Network on Toonami. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there for the manga. I was here for the manga. I was here for the One Piece weekly experience when all of us for all of these years, and I've been doing this for a long time, the Gomu Gomu no Mi was the Gomu Gomu no Mi. And to have that just be turned, and the thing that makes it so crazy to me is that it works, and we accept it, and we love it. Like, if you would have asked me last year, or even like a couple weeks ago, man, Gomu Gomu no Mi is not the Gomu Gomu no Mi, I would have been like, man, that's the worst decision Oda's ever made. That's going to take everything away from this man's character. And he executed it in a way to where it elevates Luffy's character. And it's like, because he's the only one who can use this. Transformations are the greatest things of all time. I love transformations. I just wanted to come on here and say that, because we have had some of the best moments, some of my most memorable and favorite moments in this medium come from transformation scenes, man. They are the best. And I love them, and I hope to get more of them in the future, because that's my childhood right there, man. And I'll always love it. And anytime a character comes in with new design or a new transformation, whatever it is, and then the hands follow, there's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like it, man. I love it, but I look forward to seeing your favorite transformations in the comment section down below. Until next time, y'all have an awesome day. Transformations of the GOAT, y'all.